Purpose is everything. If you can find purpose and make a plan of action around purpose, you'll always be winning. Purpose is finding that one true thing that just makes you happy. The way you can find it is by...
In a world where your mindset is your greatest asset, one man is transforming the way we think. Cordell Jeffers.
What is mindset?
For me, mindset is very important. I believe that the way we think has a direct correlation to the way we live. The main thing is to have a balanced mindset. Essence of life is balance. It's understanding that in every single bad, there's a good, and in every good, there's a bad.
Tell me about meeting King Charles, right?
I got invited to St. James's Palace. Whether you like the king of the world or not, for me, it was just huge. She passed and it was difficult, man, because it was all sudden. So the last text that my mum sent me, in God we trust, that was the last thing she's texted me. Death is a part of life, and there's polarity. Like I said, there's bad in every good and there's good in every bad. And I literally sat down with a pen and paper and I had to write down all the positives. I just had to figure it out.
So, Cordell, welcome to the show.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me on the podcast, man. I appreciate it. I remember the vision, and to see it come to reality, it's special, man. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, it's taken a minute, but we're here. And I think we're just talking about perfectionist and, being able to just at some point just take that step and just get started. So I think at some point I'm like, I had a vision, and I'm someone that likes to execute the vision as perfect as I can, but I think I had to just get started with this one and just, I feel like what we're going to give to people is so powerful that you can't wait. So, yeah, I mean, you've had an interesting few years. I think it's been really good to watch you grow. Do you know what I mean? I've seen the growth, personally as well as online and through social media and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think you've been doing a great job recently. You're one of the only, let me say, mindset coaches and speakers, representing, the urban side of things in Birmingham. So I think every time I watch you, I'm like, you're representing us, and you're doing an amazing job. But you're a mindset coach. What is mindset, and how important is mindset?
Mindset is really it's your thought processes, it's your habits, it's your thinking. For me, mindset is very important. It's crucial because ideally, that's what we start from. I believe that the way we think, has a direct correlation to the way we live, the way our life, the decisions that we make, the actions that we take, and how we cope with things as well. So mindset for me is important. It's everything. And I always say, you have to be able to, reprogram and rewire your mindset in the right way in order to achieve or go get the things that you ideally want to do, because we've come from a place of growing up, where we get programmed in a certain way, not intentionally, but by society, in the way we've been brought up, we get brought up, when we get brought up, we hear the words, you can't do this or you can't do that quite a lot, or that's impossible. We hear these things quite a lot, and then what we do is we take these, these words into our, later life, our adult life, and then when we try to do things, it's like, I call them ants, automatic negative thoughts. And, when we get these automatic negative thoughts, when we're trying to do something, they just pop up and they might say, you know what, you're not good enough. You can't do that. But we don't realize subconsciously, these are things that we've been told quite a lot repetitively, when we was younger. And it's just kind of like penetrated our subconscious, and that's how, we still keep it. So it's very important that we have to kind of unlearn to relearn. We have to rewire our mind, and reprogram in order to, to live the lives that we deserve and the lives that we want ideally. How many times do we say that we want to achieve something and we go to do it, and as soon as that first hurdle comes, that's hard, the obstacle, we revert back to comfort, because comfort is our safe place. Yeah. Well, ideally, comfort is poison as well. Yeah. So, but the only way to kind of push through and persevere through it is by, really, getting a hold on the mindset. I
think what's even more powerful is I see that you're speaking a lot to young people, you know, in schools as well.
Yeah.
I feel like mindset is so powerful. I wish that we had a lot more of that when we were in school. I feel like mindset should be something that is implemented in curriculum.
100%.
Because, you know, it's all good knowing maths, English, science, and the rest of it, and even being an expert in a certain subject. But when it comes to life, it comes to balancing all of those things, you know, having a family, being part of a family, having friends, being in a society, it's your mindset that holds all of that together.
100%.
So I think having mindset, you know, implemented and you know, for the young people to be able to hear more about mindset is such a great thing. And tell me more about your experience with that as well. You know, how are they taking it and how are they understanding what you mean when you speak about mindset?
Yeah, well, you know what it was for me? You know, I got kicked out of school when quite early. So I got kicked out of school when I was in like year 9. I left with no GCSEs, and obviously, you know, I'll tell you the backstory probably a little bit later on. But as when I did start to become successful in my businesses and things that I was doing, I always had that element of, you know, I want to go back into schools and work with young people that was just like me, that had the potential, but they might not have been in the right environment or the right system for that potential to, you know, go to the next level, or for that potential to come to the forefront of what, you know, their character ideally. So I always wanted to do that. So when I go into schools, I'd talk about mindset, personal development, relationships, communications, networking, you know, and it's just really just to show these young people that, because ideally what these young people do is they only believe what they see. So what they see around them, they might see, you know, certain things around them, and they only believe they can achieve to only that, you know, and I'm just there to show them that, look, this is what I've done, coming from the exact same environments that you're coming from. So if I can do it, you can do it times 10. Do you know what I mean? You can be better and become more than what I'm doing. But you have to, you know, work on yourself from now. It's important because you have to outthink your environment. It's very important. You have to outthink your environment. They say that if you put a shark in a fish tank, it will grow to 5 inches. But if you put that same shark in the ocean, it grows to 5 foot or more. So that's how important it is to get outside of your own thinking, outside your environment, and be around growth, things that are going to make you grow. So I try to go in there and implement that. And I'm not saying I'm going to go into a school and, you know, be some sort of preacher that's going to change all of them. But if I can change one, that can go on to change others, then I've done my work. Do you get what I'm saying? I think it's very important because I never had that growing up. Just like you said, I never had that, you know, that representation. Someone that looks like me, sounds like me, comes from the same area as me, that's gone on and done X, Y, and Z. Yeah. I mean, we always looked up to what was around us, and sometimes it's negative. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? So it's easy to fall into that kind of like trap. Yeah. So I find it important that, you know, I'll go in there and I share however I can. Yeah.
I think, yeah, you're right. The only limits that we have are the limits that we either put on ourselves or our environment subconsciously puts on us, you know. So, like, what are these young people seeing in terms of what's influencing them at the moment? And not just that, actually, I think even as a community, what examples are we seeing for, say, mindset or success at the moment? I think it's important to kind of look at those as well and say, how can we get the society to shift in the kind of influence that it's given to these young people? Because some of the influences that we're seeing are probably in a certain light. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's great to come from struggle and come from hardship and make it in, you know, adversity is something that's going to hit all of us. And to be able to overcome that is powerful. But I also think that some of the things that I think we promote on our journeys is very powerful to the influence. Do you know what I mean? So say, for example, some of the most influential people are people that have had to do things that are not, you know, maybe morally correct, or are things that we'll class as good. Do you know what I mean? But they've had to do what they had to do to get where they are. And now people are looking at the actual end result. And then when they trace it back, they're tracing it back through the actions and they then think that is the way to get to.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And it's important to like you said, there's a lot of influences that, young people, that people in general take. But, for me, luckily, when I was growing up, my main role models were my granddad, my nan and my granddad. You get what I'm saying? And I really took a lot from their journey and their story. They came in a Rinwash generation. And when they came over, they came on a boat. Do you know what I mean? They set up a family. They had to be in times where, racism was probably at its all-time highest. No blacks, no Irish, no dogs on the doors of everything. But they still worked and created a life here. And I always took that as inspiration. And I thought, you know what? For me, that was, at that time, that was what success was to me. Do you get what I mean? And we've just been able to kind of like, generations been able to take it to the next level. But they were the millionaires in my eyes them days. They were the Forbes list back then, just watching what they done with the resources that they had. And that's the most important thing as well, man. It's important to, show the younger generation that, you might not see it around you, but if you change your thinking and your thought process, you can still get to where you want to go. And it's not about the resources, it's about your resourcefulness. Yeah, it's about your resourcefulness. What can you use around you to start your dreams or your goals? Do you know what I mean? Because I just believe there's always a way. There is no limitation, man. The only limitation, like you just said, it's in our own thinking. So it's important that we put these messages out to the next generation, to young people, in every way possible. This podcast is going to be one form of them, like, form for young people to be able to come on, whether it's young or old, but it's going to change the way people think. Yeah. And, it's important. So this is, I think, work like this is God's work, ideally. Yeah. Get what I'm saying? And in time, God's always had his messages. It's just that we're in a different generation. We might not think it, but if we got something positive to put out there and to help people change with their thinking, we are God's messengers, ideally, and because we're vessel of the highest image. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, I'm quite passionate about working with young people and helping them excel and succeed if I can.
Yeah, I think just like you, my grandparents were my biggest inspiration as well. And I think them having such a wide understanding of life and skills just meant that whatever I was able to soak up is, makes the person that I am today. So my granddad achieved a lot, in the society. He was the head of a very successful and let's say a very high level school. Wow. As well as just being part of the communities where he were influencing growth. Yeah. On top of that, he had a lot of skills. Like our grandparents knew how to farm, they knew how to look after the house, they knew how to be resourceful, like you were saying. So me growing up around that as well, kind of soaking it up, even though I wasn't around for too long, moving to the UK, just in that, say, 6-7 years span that I was around them,
it's important.
That literally has put the foundation. It's funny actually, because obviously when we speak, we're talking about grandparents being inspirations. Yeah. And I feel like, but now a lot of our influence and inspiration is each other. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? We are gonna hopefully impact and influence people next to us, our friends, and the young people. So it's really important that, each and every person has a mindset, because we're so close now, and, our influence is so impactful because of the way we're able to connect, whether it's social media or technology has allowed us to. So now the person next to you, your friend, can influence you a lot more than before.
Yeah, 100%, man. And it's funny that you said, because you said that, you spent those, 7 years before you came to the UK, and how much that changed, and how much that changed you as well, or how much that influenced you. Because for me, when I got kicked out of school, my mum, she's old school Caribbean, and like, when I say old school, like, the discipline. My mum had always disciplined. And when I got kicked out of school, and never forget, I've gone home, I've gone into, into my house. And obviously I know that the school's just for my mum. You get what I'm saying? So I'm thinking, what am I going to say now? Do you know what I mean? So my mum's in the living room sitting down, and I'm trying to just, when you're trying to read the room. So I'm trying to see if the school have called her. So I'm like, Mum, you all right? She's gone, Cordell, do you have anything to tell me? So I'm just like, yeah, mum, yo, outside's beautiful, man. Let's go for a walk. She's like, Cordell, do you have anything to tell me? And I told her, you know, been kicked out of school, stuff like that. And she turns around and she goes, don't worry about it. So at this point, I'm thinking, yo, what is she on today? Because normally that's a straight, you know, it's a beating or something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Straight reaction for sure.
And she turned around and she goes to me, Cordell, don't worry. I'm going to send you to the Caribbean to live with your grandparents. And that was a shock to my system because I'm thinking, mum, like, I don't want to go. But she literally sent me to the Caribbean to live with my grandparents. And I was over there for like 2 years. And being there was a culture shock because I'm born and raised here in Birmingham. Do you know what I mean? So going over there, seeing people live a different way, the values, the culture, the discipline, the lifestyle, do you know what I mean? It influenced me in the right ways, you know, and my mum taking me out of my environment, taking me out of my surroundings, my friendship zones and stuff, and putting me in an uncomfortable place. That was the best thing that could have happened to me. And I was there for 2 years, man. And I never forget, I went to school over there. You know, I got beat with cane by teachers over there because that's what they was doing at the time.
Yep.
It was strict, but it really did instill in me, you know, values. And that's where I first got into entrepreneurship, because what I was seeing is there was some kids in the poorer parts of the country that you'd see them jump on the school bus and they was coming out of shack houses, but they were happy. And you're just thinking, yo, why are you guys so, like, because I'm not used to seeing this, do you get what I'm saying? And they would, like, just to survive, you know, they would think of different ways to make money to provide for their mums and their dads to put food on the table. And seeing that as well firsthand, that's when I came back here after 2 years, I thought, you know what, I'm getting my head down, man. I'm going to get into entrepreneurship and, you know, start working, because I just seen people literally with not a lot at all, but they still made it work. And that inspired me. Do you get what I mean? So being over there had a massive influence as well. And I generally think if I never had that experience and that kind of, you know, that shock to my system at that time, I wouldn't be where I am today, because I could have got comfortable, stayed around the people that I was around, and just, you know, got into the things that, you know, a lot of young people are doing these days. Do you get what I'm saying? But my mum was able to just make that decision. As much as I hated it, you know, imagine, you know, I got my first girlfriend, and, you know what I'm saying, back then, and I didn't want to leave my environment. I'm comfortable, I'm nice, you know, I'm popular. But my mum decided to do that, and I thank her for it, man, because it was a massive thing for me.
I think perspective is a powerful thing. I think my perspective also comes from, you know, living in Africa, you know, and then living here. Like, I always go back to that as a source of perspective to realize how lucky I am. And, you know, looking at the resources that I have and say, no, there's something that can be done with this. Do you know what I mean? Looking around my environment, and again, going back to that perspective and saying, do you know what? There is more. Because sometimes, you know, we look at some of the people here, some of the people that have never left the country or have that perspective, and something small is a big deal. You know, I'm upset if I can't have this. I'm disappointed because I didn't get the latest this, or maybe it's not the latest that. But then when I go back into that perspective, I'm like, listen, I've walked barefooted. You know what I mean? I've had nothing. I've had one meal a day or no meals a day.
That's it.
Do you know what I mean?
That's it.
I've had clothes for years, so many different things. And I'm like, you know what? There is no point, you know, leaning towards why I don't have something.
Exactly.
I end up going into a state of gratitude.
100%.
And that just changes my state and my mood. And then all of a sudden I can function again, and I can focus and be more positive and kind of look towards the future more. So perspective is one of those things. These days I really encourage people to travel. I say, you know, we underestimate how much traveling and not just traveling itself, but it's going around different environments, going around the world, seeing how people live, seeing how resourceful people are with what they have, and understanding that the life you're living is only a choice that you're making to accept or not accept. Like, it's all based on your perspective of what you have. Do you know what I mean? We put values on things. Values don't put values don't put meaning on us. You know, we put meaning to the value of things. So somewhere where we, you know, we might think that this mug is the, you know, cream of the crop when you have one of these, and another society is like, we don't care about it.
Of course, and that's it. Everything's all relative. Everything's relative. So like you said, perspective, there's universal laws, and I'm really big on universal laws. Obviously you've got the universal law of attraction that a lot of people know about, but there's other universal laws, and one of them is the law of relativity. And it's kind of like everything's all relative to a next person. So you could be going through hardship that you think's hard, but then if you look on the other side of the world, there's people that would look at your hardship as ease. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. They would look at your hardship as ease and wish they was in your shoes because of what they're going through. So everything is all relative compared to somebody else, and perspective is important. And same, I love traveling, I love learning about other people, I love learning cultures, because what that does then, it gives you a more balanced point of view.
Exactly.
And balance is everything. If you can literally have a balance in every single scenario, whether good or bad, I think that's the essence of life. Essence of life is balance. It's understanding that in every single bad there's a good, and in every good there's a bad. Yeah. So when you're just in the middle, nothing really affects you. And it's like you can't even have much arguments with people when you understand balance and perspective, because what you'll do is you'll be in control of the communication. So when you're having a debate or a discussion and it might turn into some sort of argument, you just gotta step back and think, you know what? Let me understand it from wherever they're coming from, because they're coming from a different place from me. Of course. And then when you can do that and you can communicate in their perspective and then their values, it's easy. Do you get what I'm saying? It's easy to kind of control conversation.
It's one of the things that makes humans special. Do you know what I mean? That ability to be able to do that, to 100%. Step into your shoes and see through your eyes from that angle and this angle, and then put them together into a conclusion or a decision. I think that's one of the things that makes
100%. But the thing is, not a lot of people do it. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's so self-centered that it's all about them and their opinion and their kind of, their thought processes. But like you said, balance, understand that everyone's coming from a certain experience, a certain place, a certain childhood, certain traumas. So if you can try to understand from their point of view, and like I said, communicate your point in their values, then it's balance and it's peace. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's it, man. So I always try to understand everyone. You know what I mean? You just be balanced, man. Like that's the essence of life, man.
100%. So when did, Cordell, the mindset coach or speaker, kind of come along? Like at which point did you think, this is who I am, this is what I want to do, or this is what God has? Like I said, when I got kicked out of school, went to the Caribbean, and I came back. When I came back, I started to first get into entrepreneurship. That was my first thing. Like I said, I was quite inspired, and my mum came with me to the Caribbean, but she decided to stay over there to look after my grandparents. So she stayed there, and I came back 16 years old. It was difficult because I was leaving my mum and little brother, but I made that decision. She's seen the growth in me. She's seen me start to develop, and she thought it was at the right time for me to come back. But you could imagine 16 leaving your mum. It's difficult. Do you know what I mean? My little brother was there as well, stayed with my mum, and my dad wasn't around. So I came back and I lived with my auntie, and I lived in not too Neutrals, which is, around the corner. And as they would say, it's a disadvantaged, kind of community. That's what the governments would say or call it. Do you know what I mean? So while I was there, I was just thinking, okay, how am I going to get myself on my feet? One, I need to kind of self-sustain, okay, because we don't come from a wealthy family, so I have to self-sustain. And two, I need to stay out of trouble. Do you get what I'm saying? Because what I was seeing around me at the time, it was a lot of crime and stuff like that. From my peers. Not that they were bad people. It's just that that's what they had to do, or what they knew, or what they learned in order to survive and self-sustain for themselves. Yeah. So I was thinking, okay, there is some beauty in this though. Because again, polarity, balance, there's beauty in everything. So whatever they was doing, I was thinking, how do I apply this hustle, this work ethic that I'm seeing around me, and apply it into something positive? And that's when I started to get into entrepreneurship. The first book that I read was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I was 16 at the time. Wow. And I read that back to front twice because I really wanted to understand it, but it just made me start to think more, how you could be your own boss, how you can be self-employed or become a business owner, and the difference between liability and assets and all of these different things, lessons from the book. So the first thing that I'd done was I saved up at the time my AMA money.
Remember, you used to get earmate at college?
Yeah, mate. I talk about how I saved mine as well.
But I saved my earmate. We used to get £30 a week.
£30, yeah.
Now, listen, I used to have to go into class on time to get it as well. I never used to go into class on time, but I used to charm my teachers. Do you guys say? So they always used to sign it off. So I saved all my earmate money for about, I think it was over about a 9-month period. And the first thing that I'd done is I brought some electronics from China. I was buying them. This was before Amazon was even popping. It was more eBay back then.
Yeah, it was.
And I was buying hair straighteners. You know what I'm saying? Now, listen, guys, I ain't got no hair, right? So don't laugh. But I was buying hair straighteners in bulk because there was good profit margins, and I knew that I could sell them. So then I was just literally brought them in bulk, and then I was going to hairdressers in my area around Erdington, Sutton Coldfield, knocking doors, trying to like sell these hair straighteners because I was just inspired. Never had no picture, I was just learning, and you know everybody was just like, "Yo, get out of here, man! Little boy just coming out, you tell hair straighteners. You don't know nothing about the hair industry or the beauty industry, whatever." But then this one lady who owned multiple hairdressers, she was like, "You know, I'm gonna give you a shot. Like, okay, cool. Like, I love it. Like, I love the raw entrepreneurship that you've got." And she brought some off me, and then their customers liked them. And then she came back and she was just buying again and again and again. And literally one customer, back then I was 16, was making...
Sorry to interrupt, but if you're enjoying this show or finding any kind of value in our conversations, then let me tell you this. Our show is sponsored by Potential Foundation, a non-profit initiative that I started with a mission to create opportunities and solutions for the less privileged communities in Africa. And we just started in Nigeria. So I would like to just ask for your support. By simply clicking on the link above, you can donate any amount to help me and my team on our mission to spread love and make genuine impact in underprivileged communities in Africa and change people's lives. Thank you.
I was making like 3-4 bills a week at 16. Back then, 4 bills was huge, right? Wow. 4 bills is still, you know, good for some people, right? And I was thinking, whoa, like, this is crazy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've got myself a customer, and she just kept repeating the order. Yeah, man. So that was it. You know, I believe that some people in my area at the time didn't understand what I was doing. Possibly got jealous. Yeah. So one night, you know, I got attacked at my home. You know, people came to my house and, you know, at the time they was trying to rob me. You know, it was a difficult experience because I was doing something positive, but unfortunately, because of the environments that I was in, people just don't understand it back then. Do you know what I mean? So instead of asking questions or whatever, they're just thinking, I don't know whether they're thinking, is this person better than, is it better than me? Is it this? Is that? Yep. So that was a hard experience because I felt like I brought that drama and that problem to my auntie's home because I lived with my auntie when I came back from the Caribbean, and you know, she grateful to her because she gave me a roof. You know, that was the only family member where I could have stayed. So when I brought that to her, the home, I felt guilty for it. But again, it wasn't because of nothing that was negative. You know what I'm saying? So it was difficult. But in that moment, it was kind of like there was just a message, you know, the message for me. And I feel like God gave me this message was, you know, life doesn't happen to you, happens for you. Because I needed to go through that to elevate myself again, you know, to elevate to this time to kind of like just step away from the surroundings because I knew that wasn't what I wanted to be in. Yeah. And kind of just get away from that environment. And that got me, you know, I started to work hard to go to university, and I didn't want to go to university at the time because I was making money with my entrepreneurial stuff, but because of the situation, it kind of just pushed me in that direction, and that was the only way out as well, out of my current surroundings, was by getting student loans and moving. So I moved to Manchester. I was there for quite a few years. I didn't do well at uni. Again, uni just wasn't for me. Do you know, it wasn't for me. So I didn't do well. And then when I finished uni, I actually started a clothing line, and that was my first official business. And then, then I was just like, you know, I started a company called We Shine Together, which is a social enterprise. And that was all about working with young people, helping them develop personal development and entrepreneurial skills. And I built programs around that. I started to contact schools And yeah, school started to really catch onto it, and I started to work around the whole of Birmingham delivering these workshops. So initially my speaking that's how I started speaking, by facilitating workshops.
Okay.
And then I thought, you know what, I can package my message. And that's when I realized, we all have stories to tell. And the thing is, if you keep your stories to yourself, you can be quite selfish by doing it, because your story and your story of challenge or hardship and the way you overcome it can help save somebody else's life.
Yep.
So I thought, you know what, let me package your story, let me put it together, and let me start to really understand the art of public speaking and storytelling. Because the human mind thinks in images. So if you can tell stories in an effective way, you're going to be able to captivate audiences. And that's what I started to do. So I started to look at your Les Browns, your Tony Robbins, and understand how they done things, and then just put my kind of spin on it. No one was doing it in the UK at the time. And then, I just started to, first I started in schools, traveled around schools. Then I started to do corporate stuff and my own events as well. And I just naturally started to, love this gift for speaking and sharing with others and helping them, because I seen the impact that I had. You know what I mean? And I was thinking, wow, if I could do this, full time, then it would be a dream. If I could make money from it. And then then I started to charge for my talks and stuff. And it's just been crazy trajectory since then.
I think I haven't done a good job of talking about your entrepreneurship side, because as I'm hearing you speak now, I realize that you are as much of an entrepreneur as a mindset coach and a speaker, 100%. I mean, the story with the hair straighteners, that's amazing. I mean, at 16, to be able to, something like that as well. And, it's not like you were a hair specialist, like you said, but being able to see the gap in the market, or at least see something there, and then go out, in the last episode with Last Place, I spoke about the ability to take action. For me, is one of the main first skills in entrepreneurship. Just to get up and take that action 100%. Itself. So sometimes, even if you don't understand the market, even if you don't know what you're doing, you will learn it by getting up and taking action. A lot of people sit down, talk, and 100%. Say, oh, I want to do this, I wish I could do this, I have this idea and this plan, but then no action follows, and nothing happens if nothing happens. So if you can get up and try and look and do whatever, you will learn, because, life has an amazing way of showing you the truth and showing you the way, as long as you can dance with life. Do you know what I mean?
100%, man. I believe that action is the most important thing. And this is the thing, a lot of people, listen, I'm a mindset coach, I'm a public speaker, I'm very heavily been into personal development since 16, since reading that first book, which I poured out. I went on to read books like Think and Grow Rich, The Power of Now, The Magic of Thinking Big, the 7 highly effective skills habits of successful people.
Yep.
So I learned all of these books and all of these techniques, but I'm not that guy that would just sit there and talk about the law of attraction, because if you look at attraction, in that word, it has action in. Do you get what I'm saying? And this is what people are missing. This happy, law of attraction kind of sensation that's hit the internet. Yeah. It's almost making people sit there and think they can just attract without action. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Action is everything, and you learn as you go along, and you fail forward. That's the old entrepreneurship is about failing forward.
100%.
It's 100% about that. I don't know anyone that's just started entrepreneurship and it's just boomed. Started a business and it's just went off the ground. You have to be willing to fail and understand that is the process. The dream is failing forward. The dream is the hard work. The dream is doing something every day that you love. The dream is thinking about things, putting a plan and a strategy behind it, and going for it head first. That is the dream. A lot of people are too addicted to the final result, the end result. Don't get me wrong, always have the end result in mind, but fall in love with the process of, doing something, taking action. Of
course, social media has allowed us to be able to see so many end results, and also giving us the tools to be able to create images and brands that focus on just the good parts. You know what I mean? You could have 100% of something and 1% of it is good, and you can just zoom into that 1% and it looks like the whole thing is good. So that whole concept and that whole those tools have allowed us to kind of be a bit delusional, and I think because the young people are growing up in that world, there's a lot of delusions going on that, you know, life is just, you know, living on a yacht and, you know, being an entrepreneur is this and you know, it's a lot of money and driving nice cars and partying and this and that, but there's so much in the background that happens, and I think it's really important to share those, like we said, those hardships, because those are where the key values are, those are where the messages, that's where the lessons are for you to replicate and to know how to grow, and then to teach as well.
Yeah,
you know what
100%.
I mean? Like, I mean, yes, we get inspired by looking at people enjoying their lives, because life is to be enjoyed, but what have I learned from watching somebody enjoy their life, like, or drive a nice car? What have I learned? That the car can go really fast, or do you know what I mean?
Exactly. You don't
But
learn
when you sit down and you listen to how, and you realize that
of
actually
course.
getting to being able to affording or buying something like that took a lot of, you know,
100%.
action, a lot of, you know, decisions,
Yeah, of course.
and strategy. Then inside those, you realize that is where the key is.
100%. And I think on social media, what you can do is we've got this kind of like, I would almost call it a disease, if I was to go as deep as saying that we look at other people online and we look at their lifestyles, and what we do is we put them on a pedestal and we look up to them and we minimize ourselves. And it's kind of like, don't ever do that. Do you know what I mean? Because one, you don't know how that person got it. And two, whatever you see in them, you display in yourself. You might just be displaying it in another avenue, a different way. You know, if you see greatness in them, you've also got greatness within you as well. And it's kind of like, you can't just be, you know, looking up to people and putting people on a pedestal and minimizing yourself. Understand that you've got greatness within you, and it's just for you to find your purpose in life and what you really love and enjoy. You know what I mean? Because purpose is everything. If you can find purpose and make a plan of action around purpose to monetize it, ideally you'd always be winning. And for some people, it could be anything. You know, I always say it could be literally anything. For example, these days, how many times do you know? Well, I've got a lot of nieces and nephews, and you hear my cousins, and I say, "Get off the game! All they're doing is around the game."
Right.
This, that, the other.
Yeah.
But ideally, if that's something that they love to do, they can monetize that right now, because they could become a game developer. They could create a game club. They could create a game review YouTube. There's so many different ways that they can monetize their purpose around that. So you need to find whatever it is you love in life and what you enjoy talking about, spending your money up. Ask yourself all these questions and find out one thing, and then find different ways you can monetize it, and then pick the right way.
You did the hair straightener business, then you did the clothing line, and then you started the We Shine together. Are those all running at the moment, or is this something that you've had to drop on?
Yeah.
And also the transition into all of those, you know, what was kind of your mindset in navigating around going from that one to that one to that one?
Yeah. When I started the electronic business, I was young, 16 years old. And like I said, I was buying and selling, making some good money, even online, even on eBay. And I always think, man, if I stayed on that, like then, it was crazy. Because of what happened at the time, I kind of just put it to bed in a sense. Because I didn't want to attract that attention to me. And then when I came back from uni, don't get me wrong, even at uni I was still doing entrepreneurial stuff. I was setting up events. Okay. So after, you know, the lectures and stuff, I had events going on as well. Do you know what I mean? So I was always active, always trying to, you know, do something to create. I just love creating. That was my thing. You know, I just love having ideas and creating, because I know that I could do it, because I had the action mindset, you know. And then when I went to do the clothing line, I started that with my partner. And it went quite well, to be honest with you, because what we actually done, we had a lot of influencers backing us, and you know, it went quite big, and you know, everyone in the city knew, you know, what the brand was and what the brand was at the time. What happened there was the transition from that into We Shine was I just had this desire to help young people in education, so I needed to have that as well, and but that just went like boom. Do you know what I mean? So then it's like I couldn't have all the time for the clothing line. And plus, it wasn't necessarily my deep passion, you know. And yeah, so the mindset was just, you know, to go into education, working in schools and stuff. That went quite well. That's still running today. We've got a charitable side of it as well, where we work with the homeless as well. We have volunteers that go out every single week feed the homeless. We also do work abroad.
Wow.
We sponsor kids. We sponsor kids in Zimbabwe, Nepal, and India. Because of lockdown, we had to kind of change the strategy a little bit of how we help people overseas. So we've got something called virtual classrooms, where we work with under-resourced schools in those countries, and we send over laptops, you know, projectors, computers. We set up classrooms virtually, and then I work with a lot of volunteers, teachers, including myself, that develop extra curriculum for them online as well, which is powerful because these kids are getting access to, you know, extra work, personal development, and just again showing them that belief as well. You know, it's something that I'm proud about, and I'm going to keep growing it as well.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. I mean, you're literally living my life in real life. And I'm hoping that, you know, one day I can get onto those levels where I can have those kind of impacts and have those, you know, set up where we can impact people, not just around us, but internationally, virtually, you know what I mean, and physically as well. So that's why top level. That's why sometimes it is important to, you know, share your dreams with others. Because now you've told me that, you know, naturally the next thing I'm going to be doing tomorrow is giving you a phone call about how can we get you involved. So yeah, that's important. And then obviously, whilst I was doing that, I went into my speaking, and like I said, I really invested in my communication skills. You know, and I still do it today. I still invest in the way I communicate, the way I talk, the way I can, you know, deliver stories on stage. And also my framework, you know, things that I want to teach people to implement as well. So we set up a lot of personal development workshops, live events. I do a lot of work for corporates. I've done talks for some of the biggest companies you could think of, KPMG, you know, HSBC, NatWest, Facebook, Shoe, Domino's Pizza, a lot of big companies as well. And this is the same guy that got kicked out of school with no qualifications, the same guy that is dyslexic, the same guy that, you know, struggled and come from the trenches. So what I'm trying to show people is that it's all possible with the right focus, the right discipline, and, you know, the fearlessness as well of not being scared to fail, not being scared to look stupid. You know, if you can grasp those things and go for your dreams, I promise you it's going to happen. And even if it doesn't happen straight away, it has to happen because there's something called the law of averages, which basically means every failure is going to bring you to a success anyway. Yeah. So if you've got to fail 15 times, you've just got to fail 15 times before that 16th time kicks off. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just how hungry are you for it, man? 100%. How hungry are you to, you know, create the life that you want and that you deserve? Wow. Tell me about TED Talk. I mean, I you know, just like you, I got into self-development, and some of the things I used to watch was TED Talks. And again, a dream of mine, you know, to one day be able to deliver a powerful TED Talk. And then boom, Cordell Jeffers doing a TED Talk. I was like, wow, this guy. So tell me about TED Talk. How did that happen? And how did you get to
do a TED Talk?
To do something so amazing?
Yeah, TED Talk was, honestly, again, that was, for a speaker, that's kind of like pinnacle. Like that's like the biggest thing you can do. That's like going to the Grammys. You know what I'm saying? But for a speaker though.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of like, because you got Tony Robbins, Elon Musk, all of these guys have done TED Talks. So it was a big thing, and it was a good thing to kind of, you know, have on my CV. So with TED Talks, it's crazy because what I've done is I've had it on my vision board. Right? So I had it on my vision board because my mum passed, right? So I created a new vision board, and one of them was to do a TED Talk. And from me putting that on my vision board, my mum passed in September, buried her in October. I created that vision board in October. By January, I was on the TEDx stage. So how did I do it? All right, don't get me wrong. When I say, I said earlier about manifesting, and you have to, you know, put action into it. I am a big believer that you can manifest your dreams and manifest the lifestyle that you want. So I'm very big on visualization. Okay, massive. I've been on it since, like I said, since my personal development early years. I've been visualizing the life that I wanted. The life that I now live, I visualized before. Like, it's not coincidence. You know what I mean? So when I put my dream boards up every single night and every morning, I've liked to look at certain pictures on my dream board and visualize myself there like it's happened already. And I was doing that for quite a while, just trying to visualize me being on a TEDx stage. Now, let me tell you the importance and what people don't tell you about visualization. People just think that you can visualize and something will just happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
It don't work like that. But what it can do is it can change the way your brain works. So that in your brain, there's a filter system between your conscious and your subconscious mind called the RAS system, the reticular activative system. This is actually a scientific thing. And what that filter system does is it brings information from your subconscious to your conscious mind. Okay. So for example, we walk around every single day. We have our 5 senses. We take in millions bits of data every single minute. All right. But if we was to focus on all of these things that come into our mind, we'd just have a meltdown. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So what the RAS does is it takes the only important things and puts it into your mind. So for example, if you're walking across the street and you hear somebody call your name, you're going to look around because but there's so many sounds have happened, but you're going to hear your name because it's important to you. So what the reticular activative system can do is it can put certain things in your environments for you to notice. So for example, have you ever liked a car? Are you a car guy?
Yeah, fairly.
Okay. So have you ever seen a car, and this is going to be a great example for people to understand what I'm saying. Have you ever seen a car that you liked in a showroom or on the TV? And you're like, yo, that car is nice, you know. Like, I would love to get that car. Might start looking about it. You start seeing it online. And then next week, you know, you start to see that car everywhere. You just see it in traffic randomly.
Yep.
That car was always there. But what happens now is the RAS system, the reticular activated system in your subconscious now, it's bringing that car to the forefront of your conscious mind, because you've started, the brain knows that it's now important to you.
Yes.
So what I do to visualize is I visualize things because what I know scientifically, if I visualize certain things, I'm going to start seeing it in my environment more. Do you know what I mean? If you're looking for an office, you'll start seeing office to let everywhere. Do you get what I'm saying? So you have to be intentional about your intentions, ideally, you know. So I started to visualize this TEDx and me being on stage, and then what I started to do is I started to see things pop up that were related to TEDx on Instagram. And then what I started to do is I started to just send messages. I sent messages to loads of different TEDx's. Like, if you're looking for a speaker, I'd love to speak at your next event. Would love to speak at your next event. And one came back to me and was like, listen, there's a process. You can't just go on any TEDx stage. You have to put application form, and some of them, it could take years, some of them, you know, to get on there, as a lot of people want to do TEDx's. So I just said, listen, I'll volunteer then. Just let me volunteer at your event, whatever it is. I just want to be around that circle. So that's what I started to do. I started to volunteer, talk to the people. And then what happened was a speaker fell out of that lineup. Yeah. And they then came to me and was like, listen, we've looked at your page. We can see that you're a good speaker. We need somebody to, you know, to be able to fit the slot. And I was like, of course, I'll do it.
Wow.
And that's how I was able to go from visualizing something in November to it being manifested in my life in January. But I had to take the action and the intentional steps as well.
Of course. And I've heard these stories before, and you know, when you hear them, it sounds like a bit of a fairy tale, a bit of you know, I don't know, something that someone's made up and it sounds good. But you know, to actually hear you talk about, you know, especially somebody dropping out, you know, I mean, at the perfect time, you know, for someone who's visualized and it's almost ready to take it just at the right time, you know. Yeah, that's powerful. But yeah, like you said, it's not just sitting down and dreaming about it. It's the actions, it's the steps you took to even be in that environment at the right time in the right place. Took action.
Takes action. It takes intention. And you know, the most important thing is being intentional. You have to be intentional about your life. You know, if you're not intentional, then what you'll get is, you know, a disorder in your life. If you're not intentional about your health, you'll end up in the doctors. You know, if you're not intentional about your mindset, you will end up possibly stressed and depressed quite a lot. If you're not intentional about your relationship, you're probably be in the wrong one. Intention is the key word to life. Be intentional about things that you want and how you want your life to be. Because if you're not, or if you don't set an order for your life, you'll get disorder. There's an opposite to everything. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's very important, man. I believe that.
Wow. So tell me about meeting King Charles, right?
Man, just drop that in there, you know.
Yeah. Listen, not many people, like I said, not many people I know have met King Charles. Yeah. Tell me about meeting King Charles. How did that go down? And, you know, for you to be in that position again.
That was crazy. So because of the work that I do with, you know, my organisation, We Shine Together, the charitable work that I do, even the work in schools, because we've worked with now possibly over the last 4 years, we've directly impacted, whether it's through a workshop, an assembly, a motivational talk, mentoring. We've worked with over 20,000 young people, you know, which is quite a big number. And what I've done is I got an award for it because I'm an ambassador for the Prince's Trust. So I work with a lot of their youth and their programs as well. And, you know, I do a lot of work with them. And yeah, I got an award from the King of England. He was the Prince at the time. So the King sounds a lot better now. Do you get what I mean? And that was just amazing. I got invited to St. James's Palace, you know, which is where he lives. So even going in there was crazy. Just looking at the ceilings. It's like 20-foot ceilings, brethren. Like, it was nuts. And, you know, being in there was crazy. And whether you like the King or the Rose or not, do you know what I mean? Like, for me, it was just huge because...
Sorry to interrupt, but if you're enjoying this show or finding any kind of value in our conversations, then let me tell you this. Our show is sponsored by Potential Foundation, a non-profit initiative that I started with a mission to create opportunities and solutions for the less privileged communities in Africa. And we just started in Nigeria. So I would like to just ask for your support. By simply clicking on the link above, you can donate any amount to help me and my team on our mission to spread love and make genuine impact in underprivileged communities in Africa and change people's lives. Thank you.
It's a big moment.
It was like, yo, this isn't no little award. You know, this is an actual, this is something from the King.
It's a big recognition.
Yeah, and it was for Change Maker of the year. So they see me as a change maker. Wow. I got that award in front of loads of different people. And actually, to open up this ceremony of like the award ceremony, I actually had to deliver a public talk. So I delivered a talk in front of the King. So the King has seen me, he's heard my story and has shared that on stage. And he was at the front row.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Which was incredible. It was amazing. And there was some amazing people in that room as well that I was able to share my talk with and, you know, help inspire people even at that level.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Because the thing is, and this is why I say it's important to share, because you don't have to be, people think that you have to be the successful person to share your story or your journey. You don't. You know, stories of love, stories of challenge, stories of hardship, success, victory, all the universal languages. We've all been through them.
100%.
So it's just being able to share your journey and help the audience relate to them, their journey themselves. Do you know what I mean? So you can help impact people at all levels. I mean, I had people, the CEO of the Watches of Switzerland. He's like my boy now. I just want to throw a little stunt out there.
What?
The CEO of Watches of Switzerland, he came up to me and was like, Cordell, the way you just delivered that, you had me feeling sad, happy, inspired, you know what I mean, all at once. You're saying you're such a dynamic speaker and, you know, it's good when you get reviews like that from people at that level. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, getting that award from the King it was incredible, man. And, you know, a lot's happened after that because of that as well, so I'm grateful for it.
So I think we've probably kind of touched on it and spoke about it, but your current focus right now, you know, creating the next generation of thought leaders, you know what I mean, and impacting people. Like, how are you going about doing that at the moment? Is it, you know, the current strategy, you know, what you're doing right now, is that part of the plan, or do you have...
Yeah, well, my plan is always to, you know, inspire impact with my voice, as I do now, travel around the country, the city, the world, impacting and sharing my message of how people can, you know, overcome challenge, overcome hardship, and how they can use it to take themselves to the next level, how they can rewire and reprogram their mindset, and how to really understand the essence of life, ideally. You know, in terms of me creating the next generation of thought leaders, you know, I'm a coach. So what I'm doing at the moment is I've got coaching programs to help people become speakers how to deliver, how to use communication and storytelling, how to use their body language, their stage presence as well. So when they go onto a stage, they deliver with confidence and they captivate audiences and they connect with their hearts and open up their minds to new ways of thinking. There's a science behind it, and I've been able to learn the science, and I want to share that with other people because, like I said, we've all got stories to tell, and also help coaches to develop a new, generation of coaches as well, helping them put their programs together, their strategies, and teaching them how to coach effectively with impact. And really I just want to work with others because I do believe, like I said, God does put us on here for a reason. And we go through things sometimes and we don't even know why we go through them. But the reason why I believe we go through a lot of things is to share with other people to help them through it. So I just want to gather as many thought leaders and many influencers that want to go out and influence people in a positive way. And if I can be of help, then that's what I do. So yeah, I've got some programs. So if anyone is interested, they can always reach out to me, and I can help show them what I do and how I've been able to do it. I'm all about sharing, man. Sharing and teamwork makes the dream work.
You've spoken about finding purpose, which is something that I talk about a lot as well. It's something that I feel like has helped me navigate my life, and for me now, I can confidently say I've got like a 5-10 year plan, while a lot of people will sit down and be like, I kind of know what I'm doing this year, but I don't know what I'm doing next year. And I feel like the reason why I'm able to do that is because I feel like I know my purpose. So what is purpose, and how would you go about finding purpose?
Purpose is, I would like to say, it's your God-given mission in life, and as entrepreneurs, your purpose could just be to create. It's hard sometimes as entrepreneurs because what we tend to do is we tend to try to do too much things at once, and we become the jack of all trades and the master of none. Yeah. Realistically, we need to be in the game of mastery. Master one thing at a time. That's the most effective way. Trying to do too many things at once sometimes can just take you off track. Instead of having 20% in that area, 20% there, and success, like 20% success here, just work on one thing, make it 100%, and then move on. Just like what we've seen Jay-Z and all these other people do. Kanye mastered music, he went into fashion. Jay-Z mastered music, he's gone into business, other businesses. So master that one thing. But ideally, what purpose is? It's finding that one thing that makes your heart feel fulfilled. Do you know what I mean? That one thing that's made and built out of love. More than money, more than attachment of lifestyle or whatever. After that one thing that if you do it, it doesn't feel like work. If you do it, you could do it for every single day of your life until you go. Purpose is finding that one true thing that just makes you happy. Ideally, and the way you can find it is by asking yourself a set of questions, because I always say the quality of your life is based on the quality of questions that you ask yourself. Yeah. So the way you find your purpose is, even if you don't know, you can think about what's that one thing that you do that you lose all track of time and space on. You're doing it, you can't even, the time doesn't even matter, because it feels like when you do, you might be, that one thing you do and you're just there for hours. And you think, I've been here all this time. It only felt like I've been here for an hour. Maybe that's aligned to your purpose. Maybe that thing you're always communicating and talking to people about is your purpose. Yeah. Maybe that thing that, that you spend all your money on is your purpose. If you spend all your money on fashion and you talk about fashion and you're always online shopping, and maybe you need to, get into the industry somehow and just monetize it instead of being a consumer to it. Do you get what I'm saying? Maybe you get in there and you learn, become a stylist, become a fashion buyer, start your own clothing line, whatever it is. You can turn things that you love and monetize it. And ideally, when you work with purpose and passion first, the money follows. The money is a byproduct of it. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's important that you do things out of love, and things that just are built from love, because ideally, if you just follow the money, you might make a lot of money, but how many people, there's so many people in this world that have got a lot of money and they just ain't got fulfillment in their heart. Fulfillment, yeah. And unfortunately, we see it with a lot of celebrities that, you know, might take their lives and stuff like that. We look at them and, like I said, we put them on the pedestal. We think, wow, look at their life. Their life's amazing. Boom, boom. They got this, they got that. And then when you find out some of the things that they do, or, you know, if they commit suicide or whatever, you think, wow, how have they done that?
Right, yeah.
Maybe they wasn't on the trajectory of purpose. They wasn't on the path of purpose. You know, because once you have purpose, nothing else matters. Definitely.
I think what I say to people is, if I was stripped down of everything I had, one thing you would find me doing is my purpose. I'm lucky enough that I would say my purpose, and I would believe yours as well, doesn't need resources. Doesn't need, you don't need money, you don't need materials, you don't need a lot to execute your purpose, whether it's, you know, on a tiny scale, 1 person, 2 people, 10 people, whatever it is. And I'm just grateful, because then it reminds me that I don't need all of these things. You know what I mean? You take me and drop me in a random place, give me 1 hour and I'm going to be speaking to somebody. And as long as I can speak to someone, my purpose is going to come out.
That's it.
And that's kind of why I'm so grateful that purpose is something that I found early on. And I think it's also something that we should think about. How can we get young people to find their purpose early, or start to think about what purpose is for them? Because yes, you might not get it early, but you have to actually think about something to at least get the answer. You don't never think about something and one day the answer comes to you. You got to start that, put those thoughts together. So, or start visualizing, having ideas, or, making hypotheses about what it could be. People ask me like, yeah, but I don't know. I'm like, well, assume you know. Make a theory, an assumption, whatever, but you have to start projecting something.
Yeah. But the thing is, people think that their purpose is something that's outside of them, but that's not a purpose. That's just a fantasy. And most likely you got that fantasy from looking at other people. Your purpose is already within you, because you speak about it, you talk about it, you do it. You just need to ask yourself them questions and just self-reflect. For some people it might be cleaning. Some people think that purpose needs to be something like what I've done in terms of speaking and impacting, or setting up charities. Like, that doesn't need to be your purpose. Your purpose might be cleaning. You might enjoy cleaning and working. You might enjoy cleaning. Like some people find it therapeutic.
Yes.
And they generally enjoy it. And they just, all you see them do, they got OCD and stuff like that. To make a cleaning business then. Do you get what I'm saying? Maybe that might be your purpose. But also, it's important to understand that purpose can change and your values can change. Because you might have kids, and then, your number one thing and your number one purpose is your children. So it's important to just keep checking and self-reflecting, and just making sure that you're on the right path, man.
That's an interesting point. Purpose can change, which means that purpose can be for a limited amount of time, and then it changes into something else. So I guess most people, and I guess me to a certain point, I always thought purpose is something that just consumes the rest of your life and the whole of your life. So maybe it's not. Maybe purpose is something that's at a certain time is your purpose. I'm not saying changing it every year. I've got a new purpose, but like you said, some people, their purpose is their kids for a good chunk of their life. And when they execute their purpose right, you can see the results. But then at some point that has to change, because children will grow, they'll leave and they'll go find their own purpose.
Of course.
So then what happens then? A lot of people that I've spoken to and I've heard, talk about their children being the purpose, which is absolutely fine. Like, but what happens when your children leave and because they have to?
Exactly.
What happens then? Exactly. So it's something that I'm trying to also learn and figure out, so I can see whether I can teach others or have more discussions about it.
We just don't get taught on how to really ask ourselves the right questions, and even as parents, we just don't get taught on how to get that purpose out of our own children. Because what we tend to do is we tend to inject our values, our purpose into them, and it's like, how many people did you meet at uni that are going down the exact same route because their dad went down it, or this is something that their tradition, everyone's goes into medicine or dentistry or whatever it is. it's important that we don't inject our values onto our kids. We need to really try and find out exactly what it is they want, what they like, and just help them, push them in the right areas. And sometimes it might take a few things that you've got to try, and you can try your way there as well. But I always think it's a lot easier if you just self-reflect and ask yourself the right questions.
It's always introspective. The answers have always been and will always be inside us. Exactly. And it's about finding it and then bringing it out. Exactly. So then you can actually manifest it into reality and live that life, seeing as we're still physical beings.
That's it. Because if you don't work on your purpose, you're going to end up working for somebody else's purpose anyway.
100%.
And you might be unhappy doing it. Do you get what I mean? And not everyone needs to be the CEO or the boss. No one. I obviously push entrepreneurship and push people to become their own boss and CEO. If wealth is a big part of their values, if wealth is a part of your values, and you've got a certain ideal lifestyle that you want to live, a certain amount of holidays you want to go on, and a lifestyle, kids, leaving money behind, stuff like that. The only kind of way for you to do that is by creating your own business, product, service. Do you know what I mean? That's the only really way you're going to be able to do it. However, if you generally feel like you are happy where you are in your 9-to-5 job, don't go listening to all the gurus that say, yo, forget the 9-to-5, that's the rat race, this, that, right. If that's what you love and that's what keeps your heart fulfilled, and you enjoy the person that you're working with, the team that you're around, and you love that, then do that. Do you get what I'm saying? And a lot of the times, anyway, you need to be grateful for your 9-to-5, because your 9-to-5 is going to fuel your 5-to-9.
100%.
And people don't understand that. People are just telling people to quit jobs, and I find it wild, when I hear people say, yeah, leave your job, just work on your dreams. And I hear all of this motivational speaking, I was thinking, bro, this is wild. You're telling people, like, be grateful for your 9-to-5, because your 9-to-5 will fuel your 5-to-9. 100%. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's important, man.
I think it's also important that we understand that we're all at different stages in life. And because we are in different stages, we're going to fill different roles. So a certain amount of people are always going to be the bosses and the CEOs. And certain people are going to be the workers, and certain people are going to be learning to get into work. So that cycle is always going to happen. Do you know what I mean? And, even if you might be the worker at this point, but you can get to CEO. You don't have to be born into a CEO role.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean? So the question is, are you ready? Are you at that stage? Yeah, just because you're working now doesn't mean that's the rest of your life.
Exactly.
You can still get to CEO or, start your own stuff. But the question is, are you ready? We're all in different stages. So it's nothing to worry about the fact that you are not a CEO or a boss or own a business or start something yet.
That's it. And that's the thing. People, like I said, people are attached to what they think entrepreneurship and being your own boss brings. The thing that it brings is instant gratification of a certain lifestyle. And because people get attached to that, they think they're going to jump into it. And then when they jump into it, they realize that there's no instant gratification. Do you know what I mean? There is 10 years of hard work. There is a lot of failing. And when they do that, and then they jump back into what they're normally used to doing anyway. Do you get what I mean? But it's important, like I said, it's important to be doing your purpose, ideally, just because even when you do fail, you fail with enthusiasm. Do you know what I mean? If you know that it's your purpose and you're trying different ways and you're failing loads of different ways to get to that one desired, outcome of a business that you truly want to do, or an idea that you truly want to create, you kind of fail. You fail with enthusiasm. That's a new one, I'm going to write that one down. I ain't heard that one.
Fail with
I'm going to put that quote down.
Yeah, I think what people have to understand is we're all in different stages in our lives. So some people might be CEOs now, and some people might be working now. Some people are probably learning to get into work or entrepreneurship, but that's the cycle of life. Like, we're always going to be at different stages, and it's okay to be at your current stage. And the important question is to ask yourself, am I ready for that next stage? Because it's okay to see other people. It's like when you see a successful artist now, you're like, damn, I wish I would be that big, or, I just want to blow up. Till you speak to them, they say, this is 10 years in the making. This is, however long in the making. And they had to go through the stages to get to where they were. So sometimes it's about, are you ready? And if you're ready, then go for it. But when you're able to be honest with yourself and say, do you know what, actually, I'm talking about being a CEO or being an entrepreneur, but really and truly, I have not even read a book. I have not even researched anything. So until you've done the work, until you've at least given yourself some kind of, you know, some beef to say, okay, now I can at least adventure into the next stage and go for it. So from an entrepreneurial point of view, or even say with what you're doing now, what are some of the challenges that you've been facing, or some of the hardest things that you're having to navigate around based on maybe the industry or, you know, the current society or trends or people's mindsets?
I think in terms of challenges, I would probably say, I wouldn't really say there's much challenge like that. It's just really that the internet, the way you get, like the way you kind of target people online and certain funnels and advertising and learning, that's always changing. So that's always a challenge for me personally. In terms of the industry that I'm in terms of like, you know, speaking and, you know, being a thought leader, I would say that a lot of people sell dreams. And that's difficult because I might be somebody might come to me for some advice and help, want to enroll in one of my programs. Yeah. But they still got that trauma from someone that sold them a dream that didn't come through, or, you know, sold them some end result instead of the actual process. You know what I mean? So yeah, that might be quite difficult. And just people, like I said, again, if I do say for it, I do a little bit of business coaching as well. And people are they think that this entrepreneurship's just generally these days people just think entrepreneurship it's some easy thing that, you know, you're going to jump in and it's going to happen straight away. And it's being able to work with people like with that as well. Do you know what I mean? Like just having to really bring them down a level and just say, listen, that's not how it goes. So those things are always difficult. In terms of my other business with We Shine Together and the kind of work that I do there, I'd say challenges, maybe government cuts, you know, because that means schools, education institutions get affected, which might mean there's less budget, you know, because we have such a good service and we quite know, you know, we're in a good position, but that's always a thing as well. And possibly, obviously, navigating and trying to do things abroad isn't easy. You know, you're working with other institutions, you know, governments, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, those things are always a little bit difficult. Yeah.
So going deeper into challenges, I know that 2020 lockdown was a difficult one for a lot of people. You know, you went through your own version of that, and I know, you know, you've gone through some more even since then. I think some of us are still feeling the effect, you know, of 2020. But yeah, just tell me more about kind of what you went through in that year, and we'll kind of go a bit more about the mindset and how you were able to overcome everything that happened to be sitting here today and be able to have conversations about it.
I'd say, so the start of lockdown was obviously a shock to everybody. I think everybody went through the exact same thing that I do, especially if you're running businesses. And my business in terms of my education business, working in schools, working with employers to deliver apprenticeships and traineeships and stuff like that, that all came to a close. Obviously everything shut down. In terms of me being a speaker, normally speaking out on events and being on the road, that got shut down as well, because there's no events and everybody's trying to figure out, everyone's just focused on, okay, how we're going to make things work. So that was difficult, but I think what gave me a little bit of ease is I knew that everyone was in the same situation. Do you get what I'm saying? It's not like this just happened to me.
Yeah,
do you get what I mean? So it was a thing where, okay, I'm under a bit of pressure here. I've got to figure it out, but so does everyone else. Do you get what I'm saying? So it brought that sense, gave me a little bit of ease, and I found ways. You know, that's when I started to get into my coaching and virtually helping people online from my bedroom, which was just a crazy concept. And like I said, I didn't realize the impact that I was having on people, because I was speaking, I was doing my business, but I was sharing stuff on my social media. So when people have seen the progress, they've seen me from first starting out, from my clothing line to the person I am today. And because I was sharing little pieces just to like, you know, show other people that it's possible, because I'm just thinking, you know, if I could do this, so can anybody else. You know, I'm no one special. Do you know what I mean? That's what I was thinking. So I was just sharing, but I wasn't really sharing in terms of just growing a big following or nothing like that. And then when I started to do my coaching in lockdown, a lot of people wanted help, and they seen me as, you know, someone that could help them, you know, bring their dreams to true, help them find their purpose, change their mindset. So the coaching helped me, and you know, it's one of the best things that I do. I really love helping people and coaching. I didn't even know that was an aspect, but again, I'm in the game of serving and impacting and influencing people. So it's just another part of that. But the one-to-one coaching and stuff like that, I didn't realize it was a thing that I was gonna do, and I've been doing it and I've loved it ever since. And you know, I want to keep expanding it. So it was a polarity of back against the wall, but then also, you know, figuring it out and finding something else at the time. And I think that's when we perform our best, is when our back is against the wall, when there is no other option. There's no plan B. It's like, you got to find this plan and make it work by all means necessary, because sometimes that's what happens. We have too many options a lot of the times, and you know, it can cloud the vision. Sometimes when you ain't got no other choice, you have to win. You know what I mean? That's why it literally felt like in lockdown, when my businesses, when everything stopped, it was like I was in the middle of an ocean, all right? And I took a ship onto a battlefield, and the ship sank. You get me? So it was like, I'm going to go on this battlefield right now, and I'm either going to win this war or I'm going to die trying. That was the mentality that I had. And, you know, luckily I made it through. So everything was doing quite well. And then my mum came, I think, what year was my mum? I think that was 21. That was 21. My mum came last year. It was like last year, August, in the summer. She came from the Caribbean. She was like, son, you know, we've been in lockdown for almost like nearly 2 years. I want to come and see you. You know, they've just opened up the airlines and stuff like that. I want to come and see you. And I'm saying to my mum, it's cool, just relax. Like, I'm going to come and see you soon. She's like, no, I want to come there. I want a break, you know, and stuff like that. Because my nan died about 2 years prior. And she was like, you know, she was a big influence in our family. And she passed away suddenly. Do you get what I'm saying? So I went to the Caribbean, and that was difficult, you know. So my mum was looking after my granddad, and you know, I think she just wanted a break, and she was really like enthusiastic to come and see me. So then I was like, okay, mum, cool. Like, me and my little brother are here, come over and stuff like that. We'll have a good little summer. So it was crazy because she came, and her first flight got delayed. No, it got cancelled because of the lockdown. I think they locked it back up, and then they opened again. And then when she came, you know, she came full of spirit, happy. We had plans. You know, my mum's one of them. She's got young spirit. You know what I'm saying?
Energy.
Young energy, young spirit. She loves doing things. She's adventurous. Do you get what I'm saying? And, you know, was making plans. And unfortunately, while she was here on holiday, she caught COVID. She passed, man. She passed within 3 weeks of catching it, which was just mad. And, you know, like, when I got that phone call to say, like, you need to come in now. Like, your mum's, you know, she took a turn for the worse. She was on a ventilator for like 2 weeks, and that was difficult. You know, I wasn't even allowed in. Do you get what I'm saying? So this is my mum, you know, I haven't seen her for 2 years properly. We speak every single day, but like, I haven't seen, like, she's in the Caribbean and stuff like that. So I wasn't there with her every single day, but our relationship's tight. Do you know what I'm saying? And, you know, listening to the doctors, you know, call me in with like this panic, you know, it was difficult, man. And even, like I said, like, my mum was on the ventilator, so I would do things as much as I could. I would phone the nurses, make them put the phone by her ear, and I'm just reading affirmations on the phone, man, because I'm just thinking there has to be some hope. There's no way this could happen. My mum was fine. There's nothing wrong with her. No underlying issues, nothing. Like, she has to be fine. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, and, you know, I'm trying to keep a positive mindset as much as I can, but yeah, man, she passed, and it was difficult, man, because it was all sudden. You know what I'm saying? And we just not long lost our nan as well. So it was a difficult time, but
Yeah, that's, you know what, that's so heartbreaking, because me looking at you now, to be honest, and thinking how you've managed to gather the strength, you know, we can all visualize and think. Some of us can't even hold a thought about our parents, our siblings, or whoever passing, but, you know, to be able to gather the strength and keep your mind together and still be out here giving so much value to people. I think it's God made, and obviously we say God here. I don't know who believes in God or who not, but I believe in a God, and I'm sure you do. But there's so much to go into that, you know, with the spiritual side of things, and, you know, it would be interesting to know how, you know, from my perspective, I like to think your mom is definitely watching over you. She's guiding you. She's sending you messages and all of that stuff, because I believe in that. But yeah, I'd be interested to hear more about that. Like, since then, you know, how has that impacted you, and in a spiritual way as well? What are some of the things that you've experienced?
Yeah, definitely. Well, listen, the last text that my mum sent me, and I've got it on my phone. It's still hard for me to go through messages and stuff like that. I haven't fully healed yet. But the last thing that she texted me before she went on the ventilator, because obviously they told her that she has to go on the ventilator. And, you know, we tried everything not for her to go, but it would just look like that was the only way. And obviously I'm not no specialist. It's out of my control at this point. Of course. The last thing that she texted me was, in God we trust. That was the last thing she's texted me. Do you get what I'm saying? And I just have to hold that, man. And, you know, I said before that everything's balanced in life. You know, death is a part of life. And, you know, there's polarity. There's, like I said, there's bad in every good, and there's good in every bad. So for me, I had to find the strength to really try to understand what are the positives from my mum dying. How crazy is that? Even to have the balance to even, or the strength to even do that was crazy. And I literally sat down with a pen and paper, all right, and I had to write down all the positives. I just had to figure it out. And I started to, and as I started to, you know, like think of these things, you know, more just kept coming. And it's crazy. And you're probably thinking, what are they? But it was kind of thing like, now I got to see all the work she did, because my mum, she was all about her sons. She never really used to talk about her work, even though I knew her work was very impactful, but I didn't know to the extent of until she passed. I had people reach out for me from all over the Caribbean, because she was a teacher. Kids, disabled kids, all sorts of kids, parents messaging me of how much my mum helped her. And I was thinking, whoa, I'm literally just a vessel. Literally, like, I'm doing what my mum's work was, and that impacted me. So now I got to understand the value she put out to the world in a high level, and also got to understand that, you know, all the values that she's taught me, I'm now more inspired than ever to share with other people. You know what I'm saying? So that was very, you know, that they were some of the things, and just to keep sharing and continue her light. And she lives through me now. You know what I'm saying? And every time I'm on stage and every time I'm talking, I always mention, you know, how important my mum was in my life. And that's gave me, I think my healing has been able to share, because that's my work. Yeah. And it's kind of like, as I'm sharing, people are seeing strength in me just standing up on the stage to talk about it in the way that I do. And then they're getting inspired and healing their own. So I think healing people has been helping me heal. Do you get what I'm saying? But obviously this is something we don't get really taught about, how to cope with, you know, losing loved ones. It's not something we get taught. But we all know that there's not one thing in this life that we can be attached to, because everything has to go. Wow. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's just the reality of it. And it's kind of like when I was standing around the grave burying my mum 6 foot deep, you know, there's one quote that comes to mind, which was, you know, live full, die empty. My mum lived a full life. You get me? She left nothing on the table. She done what she had to do. She impacted the people she had to do. She made the decisions, even though sometimes people were against them. Like when she took me to the Caribbean, nobody was thinking, why are you just taking him to the Caribbean? Don't do that. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Do you get what I'm saying? And she helped so many people, and she lived a full life, and she died with nothing left on the table, bro. And that alone gave me the inspiration to just continue with the legacy. You know what I'm saying? So as hard as it is, you know. And don't get me wrong, man, I'm a human being. You know, there's days where it licks me. I could be driving and it just licks me. A song comes on, and it reminds me and it brings back up emotions. But ideally, the mission is more. I've got more hunger in me than I've ever had before.
That's so powerful. And like you said, you know, the woman you just described to me is basically exactly you just carrying it on. You just, you know, she just gave you the baton and you're just carrying it on. So
that's it, man. And
that's amazing.
What's crazy about it is because in that, like that whole kind of, you know, me burying my mum, literally, then I get a phone call and it was like, you have to come on to, we want you to, you know, get an award from Prince Charles. And it was just like, whoa, all of these things are just happening. It was like honestly, it was like, if I could write it out into a film, it would be like a Hollywood script, like the ups and the downs of that time. I've just lost my mom, then I'm getting an award from Prince Charles. Then next thing you know, I'm on Good Morning Britain. I got interviewed on Good Morning Britain by Kate Galloway, the biggest morning show in the whole of the country. Wow. You know, millions of subscribers. And then I got to share my mom's journey on live TV. And I had people from all over the country message me about it. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm thinking, wow, it's crazy. Then all these newspapers and I'm sharing my mom's story. And it was just like, whoa, like, it's crazy the way what life is, man. And it's kind of like, when you're going through hardship, understand that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And after hardship comes ease. Sometimes you have to go through it, man. And we don't know why. We can't question. We just know that we have to go through hardship. It's a part of life. And when you kind of understand that, you can use it to your advantage.
And I know there's people who are going to be watching this that have also gone through loss as well. And I think you already just said it, but I was going to ask you if there was anything that you would say to someone who's lost a loved one, like, you know, what you know, you hold yourself, of course. And like you said, it's probably something that will always be there for sure, but we have to live and we have to keep moving on. And for sure, we're going to meet again, 100%. You know, our bodies are just vessels, but our souls are always going to be connected and be part of the universe and God. So we obviously have to, you know, in honor and in respect, to live our lives as well as full as we can, which might make us look like, you know, we don't feel the pain. I'm sure that pain will always be there. But for those who are yet to even comprehend all of that, you know, what would you even say to them?
You know, I would start learning about how to kind of like, you know, overcome it from now, even if you haven't lost anyone, because when you go through it, it can be a shock to the system. Do you get what I'm saying? So, you know, everyone grieves in different ways, so it's very hard to like talk on this subject because people grieve in different ways. But one thing that you do need to know is that...
Sorry to interrupt, but if you're enjoying this show or finding any kind of value in our conversations, then let me tell you this. Our show is sponsored by Potential Foundation, a non-profit initiative that I started with a mission to create opportunities and solutions for the less privileged communities in Africa. And we just started in Nigeria. So I would like to just ask for your support by simply clicking on the link above. You can donate any amount to help me and my team on our mission to spread love and make genuine impact in underprivileged communities in Africa and change people's lives. Thank you.
You know, like you said, they're always there with you within spirit. And also, you can't have loss without gain. You have to gain something from the loss. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's kind of like looking for those positive things within the heartbreak, the trauma, the loss of that person as well. Do you get what I'm saying? Maybe look at their life and all the things that they've taught you, all the things that you've learned from them. How can you help other people with it? So that legacy and that spirit goes, you know, can affect other people as well, and in a positive way. You just have to really figure out how, you know, it can be turn it into a positive. It's hard, it's difficult, it's hard to do, it's not easy, but you will realize, because like I said, after hardship comes ease.
Yeah.
You know, and grieve as well. Do grieve as well, because it's just mad. Like, would I say I'm fully grieved? I wouldn't say I'm fully grieved. Do Do you get what I'm saying? And I don't know when that's going to fully hit me. Do you get what I'm saying? Because I'm in my work so much, it's kind of, it's a distraction more than an actual, you know, you've probably, you know, gone through your grieving process. It's probably more of a distraction because I'm just constantly working and I'm on the road and I'm helping others. But, you know, one day that time will come and I've just got to accept it. Do you know what I mean? Or maybe I have, I just don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't really know yet. Do you get what I mean? But yeah, man, you know, life has to continue, but my mum lives through me. You know, people that you will lose, you know, whoever's listening, they will live through you. And just, you know, continue the legacy, man. Yeah. Keep pushing, because one thing that we guaranteed from, and the only thing that we know in life, is it has to come. We can't get attached to anything, because you know we have to lose everything at some point. Everything has to go, whether that's through death or betrayal or friendships or whatever. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's one of the concepts that I try to remind myself a lot of the times, and I think it's interesting that you said, even if you haven't lost someone, it's important that you start almost not conditioning your mind to lose, but you can't ignore the fact that it's going to happen, and it could happen at any time. I mean, people have just left their house normal and not come back again. Do you know what I mean? So anything can really happen, which is why we're here by the grace of God. But it's something that I actually started to think about and try to somehow give myself strength from now. And I thought I was a bit crazy for thinking about certain things the way I thought about them. But, you know, hearing you say that actually just helps me know that, yeah, there is, you know, I'm at least doing something now, because
100%.
The truth is the truth, you know.
The truth is the truth.
You know, some of, you know, we have grandparents that are elderly. We know they're not going to live to 500 years. Exactly. We have parents that are also getting older. We know that. So, and ourselves when it comes to it as well.
We get older and we have to be able to accept the truth as well. And like I said, the main thing is to have a balanced mindset. Life is really about balance. Understand that from every positive, there's a negative. Every negative, there's also an opposite, which is a positive. When you can balance your mind around that, you'll be able to overcome a lot of things easier. You know?
Definitely. Wow, powerful stuff. So, before we round up, I need you to kind of give people a few list of inspiring people and books that have had an impact on you that would be worth checking out or reading.
Growing up, some of my inspirations were Richard Branson, which, as you know, that's another crazy story. I don't think we've even got into that, but yeah, Richard Branson. For those that don't know, he's an entrepreneur, a really nice guy as well. Like he does entrepreneurship in the right way, I'd like to think. And he's a multi-billionaire, got his own island in the middle of the Caribbean. Do you get what I'm saying? He's killed the game. He owns Virgin Airlines, Virgin Media. He owned the Virgin brand ideally. And he wrote me a letter as well to congratulate me on the work that I do with young people and pushing entrepreneurship into the next generation, and, you know, helping thought leaders become thought leaders ideally. Wow. He wrote me a handwritten letter from Nicker Island and sent it to me.
Wow.
Crazy. Handwritten. And when I got it, it was crazy, because I got an email from, you know, the head of Virgin Communications saying, is this Cordell Jeffers? Is this your email? Do you know what I mean? Like, and I was thinking, Virgin Communications. So obviously I researched the person on LinkedIn. I was thinking, this is legit. Do you know what I mean? But I'm thinking, I'm going to be on one of those adverts with Usain Bolt doing the fiber optic broadband or something, because I'm thinking, what is Virgin contacting me for? And yeah, man, they sent me a letter from Richard, and it was just really a positive letter.
Just like that,
man. And it's amazing, and I'm connecting with him real soon. So you might see me on Nicker Island playing tennis. Soon, I ain't gonna lie.
Bring some sand back for us. Something.
Definitely, man. So he was an inspiration. Again, look for inspirations around you as well. In terms of books, I would say Rich Dad Poor Dad was a good book for me to start with in terms of entrepreneurship. It touches this kind of like the surface of entrepreneurship. I would also say Think and Grow Rich is probably my go-to, my all-time best book, I'd say. And that really talks about the mind and the power of the mind. Listen, we don't understand that in between our ears, we have a supercomputer, you know, and it's the most powerful thing. No one has been able to really understand it in the way of its capacity. And we need to start utilizing it because it is so powerful. Learn about the mind, learn about the brain, learn about how your thoughts can affect your feelings and, you know, your belief systems. Understand that everything starts through our thoughts. And the only way you can learn about it is really by learning by the mind. And that's the most important thing God has gave us. This is why the human creation is the highest creation of God, because we have the ability to choose. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, a duck will always quack. Do you get what I'm saying? A bird will only ever do what birds do. But the human mind gives us the ability to choose and have choice of living whatever life we desire.
Wow.
So it's powerful to understand it. And Think and Grow Rich was a great book, and I still read some of those books today. I still read that book today. There's another book called 177 Secret Toughness of the World Class. 177 Secrets of the World Class, I think. But it's by a guy called Steve Cyborg. Definitely check that out as well. That was a great book of mine. But yeah, those are really, all the other self-development books are great, but I realised a lot of them just relate back to you Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich, yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? And the Think and Grow Rich will relate back to something else. There's another book, I forgot what it's called. I haven't read it because it's real old and, you know, the writing's like a bit crazy, but there's some other books as well that are quite cool. But yeah, man, like, and just keep learning. You know, a lot of people buy all these books and they put them on the shelf and it becomes shelf help instead of self-help. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm all about knowledge, and knowledge is power, but the knowledge is potential power. Knowledge is only power when you apply the knowledge in real life. The implementation of the knowledge is the power, not knowledge is power. Knowledge is only potential because you've got the potential now from the knowledge, but are you implementing what you've learned? Do you get what I'm saying? And that's it. It's implementation, trial and error, and learn on your own self, man. And yeah, man, like I said, be inspired by people, but don't put nobody on a pedestal. Okay, because nobody's better than you. It don't matter who is Richard Branson, you know, the king. No one is better than anything that you see qualities in them. You display in yourself. You just need to know where to find it. Understand that you have greatness within, man.
Wow. I mean, I thought I knew you, but today I definitely know you. I'm definitely inspired as well, and I think you're doing some amazing work. And it's great to meet someone and to know someone who's, you know, aligned with who they are, their purpose, and the kind of the work that they're delivering. So yeah, it's been special, and hopefully we're gonna have you back soon when you've done even more greater stuff.
100%.
And I'm sure we're gonna connect outside of this and do some work together as well on impacting people and helping people find purpose.
100%.
And becoming gods. So I mean,
definitely, man.
So
thanks for having me, man. And beautiful platform, beautiful setup. Love it, man. And like I said, you know, you're just another person who had a vision and you executed it in reality. Do you know what I'm saying? And everyone needs to understand that. Whatever thought they have, you know, just understand that everything that you see around you was once somebody's idea. Whether it's the TV, whether it was the Apple phone, it was somebody's idea now manifesting to real life. So just like you had this idea and now it's manifested, everyone can do that, you know? So just apply some of these things that we've been sharing today.
It's been a pleasure.
Take care, man.
Yeah, man.
Bless.